Greetings. This is Melanie with Insight Frames. I am on the very last question. Um, Earlier this year, I went to a holistic fair up by Denver, and I had a whole list of questions that people had given me. Either we answered them at the same time there, but there was one that we didn't have time to answer up at the holistic fair. So I wanted to go over that today and do a classic frame. So they didn't want me to use their name. So let's see, we'll call them Jennifer. Jennifer said, my family is so unhealthy and dysfunctional, and I want to separate from them, but I feel guilty. So what should I do? She talked a little bit about what she meant by unhealthy and dysfunctional. There was a lot of family drama. There was money issues. There was, the people shoving each other. It just was like this toxic thing that she was having such a hard time separating from. She was working on herself and trying to rid herself of some of those toxins. So she was wondering what she meant by, I want to separate from them. Wasn't that it was a clean break. This was something where she just needed to get some distance. So what we're going to do is pull a frame for Jennifer, and let's see what comes up. So I've already shuffled a couple times. I'll do it some more. Thank you for watching these videos. I don't know who sees them, but I hope they're useful. If you do have a question that you'd like me to do, you can email it to me at feedback@insightframes.com. So let's see what this comes up as. So my family is so dysfunctional and unhealthy, and Jennifer wants to separate from them but feels guilty. So what should she do? So the person position, this is her. I remember what she looks like either after all these months. She's a very nice person. Okay. The train is out there, so if you hear the train, hopefully it won't get too loud. Consciously, what was she talking about, thinking about, discussing with other people? Wow, I got a real clear picture right away that there was a lot of yelling going on. So unconsciously, what is she feeling about getting some distance and separating to help herself out? I think that was right next to the other card I pulled. Okay, actions. What are one or two things, some approach, some direction she can take to help her with this? Okay, so let's see what we have. I love this part right before you turn the cards over to see what you have. So on the action, we have message, message, person, code. Wow, I haven't gotten the code card pulled over even for myself. I think for 2 years now, since the pandemic started. Framework is the conscious, and the unconscious is the architect. So we have these cards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the camera just for a little bit and come back with my interpretation. Thanks. Greetings, we're back. This was, Jennifer, I still have your email, so I'm going to send you more thoughts on what I'm talking about. But Jennifer, I didn't mention, and it didn't seem relevant at the time, um, is kind of uh, a remade woman. She put herself back in school and learned computer coding. So when that's why I was kind of laughing when code came up. I'm not sure exactly what she does. She does something with websites, but she has that kind of mind that likes the analytical stuff, and she does work in the computer field. Actually, I'm not sure if she actually does the coding, but I know she works in the computer field. So that's why this is interesting. When the code card comes up, it doesn't just mean like computer code. Uh, to code means to create instructions and events that are performed in a systematic way. Um, Code wants you to consider your life or project as a set of spiritual instructions, starting from the very first line to the prettiest picture on the web screen. So, code also symbolizes the long game. Code that was created back in the 1980s and 90s is still out there, still running unemployment systems, still running financial systems. So that kind of code persists. Egyptian hieroglyphics, um, books that were written in China, that's code in a way, and that has a life of its own. It has a long game to it. So that's what the code card is. So Jennifer, by trying to remake her life, get some sanity, get some peace and some distance, this is a card, wherever it comes in a frame, that is about applied patience and trust. When you build a piece of information, you trust that it's going to be used, you trust that you did it correctly, and you have to have sometimes infinite patience to work with computer code because it sometimes defies logic. It's logic and not logic, and trying to get everything to work. So this card for Jennifer is really applying trust and patience. And it's also about her deep analytical skills. This is really her. Consciously, the framework card, to me, this is just really simple. What came to me as soon as I looked at this is uh, these two supports down here. Um, the framework card usually means your structure, your goals, your operating, the way that you work, and it's really the fundamentals. These fundamentals for Jennifer have become this immovable Stonehenge massive blocks, literally blocking her life with these fundamentals. She needed it. She needed her family to get launched, to get started, but there's everything in her family's become this immovable force. And that's what she is feeling and talking about, is that things have just not changed in the family, and everything is just so heavy. Unconsciously, the architect card is, she said that she was kind of remaking herself, and she really felt the need to separate, to get some headspace so that she could concentrate on herself for a while. And this is good with the architect card. Unconsciously, she is probably feeling the tug of past lives, the tug of intentions that she set out when she was a young person. She's, why did she decide all of a sudden to, start fresh, to make this break, to get some clear thoughts in her head and some spiritual sanity? Whatever that impetus was that got her started is really what she's still feeling. And then feeling that separation from her family is an important component. So the message card, this one doesn't come up a lot, but is a fascinating card. If you do read binary, there's an encoded message. on that card, and you can probably figure it out really quick. Um, the message card is about the courage to speak your mind, to have your message, to give it with empathy to the person that needs to receive it, and to let it go. Have the courage to speak your message. And the message is data that you create to give to someone else for an intended effect. When I was thinking about this, the first thing that came to my mind, especially because the code card of the profession that I know she's in, and this message card, the fact that it's binary, just like everything we do on the computer, what came to my mind was you, Jennifer, writing a letter. Maybe writing a letter to yourself about why you need the distance, how it might work with your family, what the boundaries and rules are. Set up a framework of keeping this space for yourself. Architect it. And Jennifer, you know what architecting in computer code is. Architecting is when you set things up so that they work together. And this has to do with your question. So that they work together, that they have longevity, and they are suited for their initial purpose. You don't try to wear flip-flops if you're, climbing a mountain. So, you architect your footwear so that it's appropriate. So, Jennifer, think about this. You have found your framework very heavy. You're thinking about the shape of where you want your spirituality and your peace of mind to reside. Think about crafting a message, possibly one to yourself about what you want, and another one to your family. Your message might be able to be read at a family meeting. If not, you could send it out, family, if you're sure that it would be taken in the right way. And then be prepared, like all messages are, that when you put this message out, you are not responsible for how they read it, how they react to it. So when you put that message out there, just like with the code card that applies to everything here, you're going to need to trust that you're doing the right thing for yourself, and have patience. If it gets a bad reaction to your message, have patience, have love and empathy that your message was appropriate for you, and that's the way that you need to keep going. So hopefully this was interesting to you and gives you a little way forward. I will email you a link to the video, and you can let me know how it hits. Thanks. We will see you next time.